I have no idea what the hell I'm doing, but sure, I'm ready.
This is going to be epic, Trey.
I have the greatest story about this of all time.
I hate this guy.
But if it's not Brock Purdy or it's not Christian McCaffrey, like, who the hell else is it?
We can finally get rid of this DeVito crap. Am I about to hate Bradley Cooper?
That guy was the worst. He was the worst. I'm going to take that fucking shiny suitcase of yours and shove it up your ass.
Oh, anytime I start a story with a former flight attendant in TikTok, I know something's coming.
I can't sit next to you anymore. You're such a dick.
From Wondery, I'm Michelle Beadle.
And I'm Trey Wingo.
And this is Over the Top. Here is how this show works. The best stories of the week in sports and pop culture face off to crown a champion and answer the simple question. What is the undisputed most important thing on planet Earth this week? We're going to decide it the only way we know how, using Royal Rumble rules. We'll start with two stories. We decide which one is more worthy to discuss and which one has to go. After 90 seconds, a new story will be introduced, and we'll have to decide whether we want to keep talking about our current story or switch to the new one. Now, we don't know the order of stories coming our way, but we do decide which ones get thrown over the top rope. Before we dive into it, you heard him at the top of the show, filling in for Peter. This week is former ESPN NFL analyst and host of the upcoming Wondery podcast, Alternate Routes, Trey Wingo. Routes or roots? Let's solve it.
Well, it depends. Are we in the United States or Canada?
It's a great question. United States.
Like here it's routes. Up there it's roots.
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 I'm going to say it's GIF and GIF all at once. All right, Trey, are you ready?
Yeah, I have no idea what the hell I'm doing, but sure, I'm ready.
All right, take it away. First challengers.
All right, our first two stories are, as the NFL's MVP race is heating up, 49ers, Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey endorse each other, and Taylor Swift appeared to drop the world's largest F-bomb after Travis Kelce flopped in the end zone and the refs did not call a penalty. So are we only talking NFL MVP race or Taylor going full? What the was that at Foxborough?
Okay, I'm torn because on the one hand, I do think it's funny that we've got two 49ers that are basically going to cross each other out. It's like Ross Perot all over again. On the other hand, America's sweetheart dropping an F-bomb should not just go away so quietly. No, fuck it. Fuck it. Let's just do it. Let's do the NFL MVP. Let me ask you this. Sorry, Taylor. You know what, Taylor? We're going to talk about you 1,000 more times, especially if they go to the Super Bowl. But I want to hear your thoughts on this because I love the idea that it's two dudes who don't seemingly get the kind of respect for this particular award. One due to his position, the other due to where he was drafted. I kind of love Brock Purdy for this, but where am I on that?
Well, listen, here's the problem. Like, people say that they're going to cancel each other out. Well, who else is there? Like normally the MVP, let's just be honest about it. The MVP in the NFL is this. Okay, who's the quarterback on the best team with the best stats?
Yeah.
Congratulations, you're the MVP, right? So by that metric, it should be Brock Purdy. But if it's not Brock Purdy or it's not Christian McCaffrey, like who the hell else is it? A lot of people thought Tyreek Hill might potentially be that guy, but he's been hurt the last couple of games. And for him to get the MVP, he'd have to break Megatron's single season receiving yards record, which he's not going to get now because of the injuries. So he's out. Dak MVP
Prescott,
campaign died next to Lake Erie on Sunday. He's out. Lamar Jackson hasn't been good. We'll talk about Mahomes in a minute because we're federally mandated to.
Fair.
He hasn't had a good year. The Bills might not make the playoffs, so you can't really give the MVP to a team that doesn't even make the postseason. So it's going to be one of these two dudes, and I just don't know which one it's going to be.
Could they have co-MVPs?
It's happened before.
That's
Historical
cute.
note from Football Geek. In 2000, either 3 or 4, Steve McNair and Peyton Manning were co-MVPs of the league. Now, it would be really weird if the co-MVPs were also on the same team. That's never happened before. But yes, we have had co-MVPs in the past.
Okay, that's what I'm going to keep my eye out for because that's a feel-good story that we can all get behind. All right, 49ers co-MVPs. All right, here we go. A story we're only doing... It's because of you, Trey. I'm not going to lie. Tiger Woods teamed up with his son, Charlie, at the PNC Pro-Am event this weekend and had his daughter as their caddy. At one point, Tiger obviously dropped an F-bomb in reaction to one of Charlie's shots. Do we want to continue talking about 49ers' adorable co-MVP possibility or switch it over to Tiger Woods and the kids?
Yeah, we love Brock. We love Christian McCaffrey. Get the hell out. Let's talk about Tiger Woods and his kids. This was a family affair. It's the PNC Championship. It's a parent sibling thing that they do every year. But the wild card this year was that his daughter Sam was the caddy over the weekend. So Charlie, I kind of feel like the golf world is almost like ridiculously obsessed with Charlie Woods.
Mm-hmm.
Like ever since he burst on the screen, it's like this kid. Let him live, okay? I'm a little concerned that all these diehard golf dudes are just so into Charlie Woods. It's almost awkward. It's like kid's 14, back off, okay? Let him. He has no chance of having a normal adolescence. Nobody gets through adolescence unscathed. Now you add in it's Tiger that is his father, and all this media attention is on him. It almost creeps me out how much people in golf are so into Charlie Woods. I'm almost like, just be a normal teenager, have all the stupid stuff, and then we'll come back when you're sort of more close to being a fully formed adult. But the idea that Sam was there and she was in this role for the first time, it was kind of a fun story.
I love seeing them as this family union. I will say this. He has no shot at a normal adolescence, but he and Bronny James could do a reality show. And here's the other thing. When you have a parent.
Why would you do that to them? Because know someone's going to do this now. You have just spoken that into existence. Someone is going to say,
Wondery?
My God, that's the greatest idea ever. And these two kids are screwed.
Yes, no, they're not screwed. They're already winning at life. They grew up. They were born winning at life. I actually kind of love the idea. But yeah, he could talk to Bronny James. They could get their stuff together and figure it out. I think he's going to be okay. He's going to surprise us. He's going to be like the child actor that makes it. Yeah, I think he is.
I hope so. But the Ball brothers are still there. Okay. That did not end well for anybody involved in that family.
But have you seen LaMelo's car collection?
No, and I hope never to.
Amazing.
Our next challenger entering the ring after yet another suspension, this time an indefinite one for punching Yusuf Nurkic. Draymond Green is expected to miss at least 3 more weeks and has reportedly entered counseling. Do we want to continue talking about Tiger Woods and his kids, or do we want to go full Draymond here? Yeah,
look, I love the Woods, but much like many of Tiger's interviews, I'm already bored.
See ya.
So, bye. Yeah, no, the Draymond of it. So here's where I get a little bit torn. On the one hand, I do believe that what we're seeing from Draymond Green is some sort of a weird, and I don't know the dude, but it feels like he's mad at something else, or there's stuff going on in his life and he doesn't know how to deal. But then I also think, well, I listen to Shaq and he's just saying, well, this is Draymond and Draymond's doing Draymond. But there's a difference, right? Between sort of being a tough guy who wants to be the tough guy in an era that doesn't really need them, versus whatever this we've seen in the last year and a half. This seems like a lashing out. I don't know how you fix it. I appreciate them trying to, but time will tell, and I'm not sure it's going to be good.
Well, did you see the Saturday Night Live skit on the last Draymond incident? It was freaking hilarious. He's
so
like,
good.
I mean, and he was like, yeah, but I'm just doing it for my team. And they said, well, what about the time that you punched your teammate? And he was like, do you want to make the list? I mean, Draymond has some issues he needs to work out. Let's just be honest about it. I mean, going back, he tried the flailing leg kicks for a few years, and I was just going for the rebound. He's not even pretending anymore. It's like, no, I'm just straight out punch people in the face. So we're in this era in the NBA. People always talk about, could the Bulls beat the Warriors or the Warriors beat the Bulls? And my question is, well, which rules are we playing under? Because when the Bulls and the Knicks played, you literally had a street fight. The only thing was missing was like the weapons from the Anchorman news team fight scene.
Yes.
Like it was brutal. Come get a taste, but not the face. I mean, that was the era that the Bulls played in. And these days, if you breathe on Steph Curry or LeBron, you get a foul. So I don't know that Draymond Green can play in the NBA now the way he plays.
Do you think, and this is real quick, because there's 2 schools of thought, that he is a tough guy or he's not a tough guy? If Anthony Mason came up to him and we put them in their primes, is he walking away or is he fighting? Oh,
I think Anthony Mason would put him on lockdown pretty damn quick. But not only that, Charles Oakley's the guy you didn't want to mess with back in the day. That guy did not give a single shit, and he would literally
still doesn't.
He did not care. He tried to choke out the owner of the Knicks a couple of years ago, man. He still got it in him. Oakley was the dude. Draymond does not have it for Charles Oakley.
I don't think so
no
either.
Way.
I need my time simulator so we can figure this out. All right, coming in hot. Yeah. Oh, Bradley Cooper.
I see what you did there.
Says he does not allow chairs on his movie sets because your energy dips the minute you sit down. Oh, God. Am I about to hate Bradley Cooper? Do we want to continue talking about Draymond Green or switch to Bradley Cooper and his hatred for chairs?
I would prefer to move on for Draymond Green because this topic I find fascinating, right?
Me too.
All right, Draymond, try not to punch anybody on your way over the top. So let's move on to Bradley Cooper. I guess we're in the method acting thing, right? That's what we're doing here.
Yes.
I mean, it has to be part of it, right? Like, I understand the thought process. Like, I'm a rabid walker. Okay. Like, I walk about 10 miles a day. So I am constantly moving. I get that. I understand that. But the idea of not sitting down because it drained. I mean, maybe that works for him, but how does he know it works for everybody? Like that, to me, that's him taking his shit and putting it on everybody else.
I don't like it. It's very Christian Bale. It reeks of Daniel Day-Lewis. I don't love this for Bradley Cooper. It's not a great optic. But yeah, you're right. Some people might actually do their best work. I know people who on a toilet perform their best ideas, their best genius moments.
Oh, I'm glad you clarified that because if I thought the end result of sitting on the toilet was their best work, I'm like, wow, what a solid, horrible existence. So I'm really glad you clarified that point for us, Michelle.
I mean, I don't know. Could be both. Yeah,
What was your best work of the day? That deuce I just dropped. I mean, it was incredible.
What'd you do at 7:45 this morning?
Dropped one.
No, I don't like this for Bradley Cooper. It reeks of Hollywood pretension. You know what it sounds like? A guy who says, I'm honing my craft.
Yeah. Ugh. Yeah. I mean, now we're getting to the Joaquin Phoenix thing or really going back to the Crispin Glover days. Remember Crispin Glover?
God.
What a whack job he was. Remarkable comeback in Hot Tub Time Machine, which is still the dumbest, greatest movie of all time. So
we could do a whole hour on that. If we want
easy. Great White Buffalo, man. Like the first time I saw Hot Tub Time Machine, I know our time is expired. I thought it was the dumbest movie of all time. And then I've watched it 73 more times. And it might be the greatest movie of all time.
I love movies.
Use the Lugal, man. Use the Lugal.
The Lugal. Stupid.
All right, here's our last story before the break. Joe Flacco led the Browns to a comeback victory against the Bears in the fourth quarter. He threw for more yards in one quarter than any Browns quarterback in the last 45 seasons. Do we want to continue to talk about Bradley Cooper's hate for chairs, or do we want to go to Joe Flacco and his elite hair?
Nope, don't care about Joe Flacco, and Flacco is backo. That's hilarious. Because I was just thinking, let's get back to Bradley Cooper. I'm sorry, Joe. Okay. Great comeback story. Hollywood's waiting. Blah blah. But Bradley Cooper, I'm thinking, have you ever worked with anyone that had like weird? I wouldn't even say they're eccentric things, but I once worked with someone who was so bad at their job that if you were behind the camera, everyone had to sit still because she would get so distracted that she couldn't do the job. Even though we're in like a live event and there are thousands of people that paid ticket prices to be walking back there. Do you have stories of any people like that?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of quirky things that we could get into there. Wait. So I want to be clear about this person you're talking about because you're like in an arena, right? So it's a live sporting event is what you're saying.
Yeah.
And no one could move behind the camera because that would distract her, even though there's a million things going on everywhere else.
And my argument was always people should be able to walk naked behind that camera and you still do your job. That's the job.
Yeah. Well, if they would walk naked behind the camera, it would make the job more interesting.
Thank you. And the camera would need to turn. So I wondered if you had because this is what Bradley Cooper sounds like to me. And now I'm starting to think about weirdos.
Well, you know what? It gets to the point, like, what's the one thing missing from Bradley Cooper's resume?
An Oscar.
A little golden statue, right?
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't have one of those. And it feels like he wants to be taken, because he came up as sort of this good looking dude in Wedding Crashers. And by the way, one of his best films, which no one talks about, is Limitless, the one where he takes the pill.
Yeah.
I love that movie. Robert De Niro. Like, to me, that's the best Bradley Cooper movie. But now Bradley's, he's sort of launched into the Tom Hanks role where what is a movie that can get me an Oscar? That's what is that? So he's taking all these kind of roles to become potentially more important. And it feels like the chair thing is part of his thing to being, hey, I'm not just a good looking actor. I'm a real serious craftsman here. And he's a really good actor, but like, it does feel like the pretense has been amped up a little bit.
Look, the rules are simple, Bradley. You either lose a ton of weight or gain a ton of weight, and then you get an Oscar. This is not hard.
Or do a World War II movie. That always seems to work.
Good Lord. It's like he doesn't read the manual. All right, we're halfway through the show. Right now, the most important topic of the day is Bradley Cooper's weird hatred of chairs. You could have offered me $1 gazillion. We'll be right
Didn't see that
back.
one coming. Didn't see that one coming.
Welcome back to Over the Top. Right now, believe it or not, our most important topic on planet Earth is the fact that Bradley Cooper has forbidden chairs on all of his sets.
How did we get here?
It's not good. Trey, what's next?
All right, let's try and move on from furniture stories because I hear circus music, and that can only mean our next topic is the NFL coaching carousel. We've had 3 teams fire their head coaches midseason. The Chargers fired Brandon Staley. Obviously, we had Josh McDaniels go. Frank Reich was gone in Carolina. And Bill Belichick could be the next to go. But Robert Saleh and Arthur Smith didn't actually have great weeks either. Do we want to continue talking about chairs, or let's go to coaches that may be unemployed for a short time once the season ends?
As much as I love a good chair story, and I really would love to do that for 6 to 7 more hours, goodbye, Bradley Cooper. Can't believe we're saying that to you. But the coaching carousel, I think the prediction was 7 to 10 switcheroonies that would be done. And we've had the 3 that you mentioned. I'm a big believer in Robert Saleh gets another year because of the Aaron Rodgers injury. That bought everybody some time. It's like a stalemate there. But I'm kind of curious what you think on the Bill Belichick. Is he getting traded for the second time in his career?
Well, here's what's not going to happen. The Krafts are not going to say we've fired Bill Belichick.
No.
That's not going to happen. This will be one of those eloquently crafted, after a long and arduous discussion and contemplating the future of the franchise in New England and what Bill has done and where Bill wants to go, we have mutually agreed to part ways, which is the fanciest way of saying you're fired. But they're never going to say it that way. Bill, I absolutely believe, is done after this year. The question, but it's really interesting about the trade thing, right?
Yeah.
Because obviously he was traded from the Jets to the Patriots. That's how he got there. What has Bill done? Realistically now, what has Bill done since Tom Brady walked out that door, which, by the way, was the thing that Bill Belichick wanted. Let's be clear.
Fair.
He wanted to do it years before it happened. He was ready to turn it all over to Jimmy G years before that. Then the Krafts made him trade away Jimmy Garoppolo at the trade deadline. He basically called one team and said, "Do you want him?" They didn't even shop it. So, what is the value of Bill since Tom Brady has left? No, look, he's still a great coach. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
But they have screwed this up 100 different ways. Like, all of his numbers without Tom Brady are really bad in New England. Like, really, really bad. And then you factor in his time in Cleveland, too. It wasn't great there.
Here's a timely analogy. It's almost like he's David Caruso and the Patriots were NYPD Blue, and getting rid of Tom Brady was his movie career.
Yeah, that's wow.
Look it up, kids. Look it up.
No, I mean, that's really good, but people use the Lugal to figure out what she's talking about.
The Lugal is needed. My eyes cheated and looked ahead. I'm so pissed that I have to do this next one. This is under protest. I'm angry. So here we go. I hate this guy. The next challenger is one spicy meatball. The Saints mocked Tommy DeVito's finger pinch celebration after crushing New York 24-6, and the Giants are officially out of playoff contention. Do we want to continue talking about Bill Belichick and where he goes next and all the other coaches that will or will not get fired? Or the fact that we can finally get rid of this DeVito crap and his weird little leprechaun agent and never speak of them again? Trey, no pressure.
Yeah, listen, Tommy, you had your run. It was wonderful. Fanopoly, as Joey said on Friends. So no, get out. Let's talk more about coaches. Like, the Belichick thing to me is fascinating, right?
Yeah, me too.
He has the potential to have more wins than anybody in the history of the NFL. He said that's what he wants. Ever since Don Shula basically said, yeah, Spygate sort of taints his record, Bill was like, oh, you think so? Well, I'm coming to take your record. But what are you willing to do for Bill Belichick, right? Like, it's been bad without Tom Brady. Like, go look at the season. First season was Cam Newton. They didn't make the playoffs. Then they get Mac Jones when they have a good offensive coordinator and Josh McDaniel. They make the postseason, and then they get lapped by the Bills 30 points, 47-17 in the wild card round. They didn't make the playoffs last year. It was a disaster. And now they benched Mac Jones. They have only the Panthers have fewer wins. Only the Panthers have fewer wins than the New England Patriots right now. So if you are one of these head coaches or one of these owners in the NFL that's going to bring in a head coach and Bill Belichick, the star, sell it, man. Like, how are you going to sell that?
That's
you better
my
have
thing.
the quarterback. You better have somebody else that's going to teach the quarterback, because the one thing we've learned about Bill since Tom left and since Josh McDaniel left, he's not the guy to be working with the quarterback. So
Thank you.
You better have a franchise quarterback, and you better have someone who's good enough to work with that franchise quarterback. Look, Bill's going to be the first guy hired, but you got to be able to, because people are going to say the first question when you hire Bill Belichick next year, they're going to say, well, how do you explain his record since Brady left?
Yep, exactly.
That's going to be the first question everybody asks. And Bill should not be upset with that, by the way, because he's always said, we're on to Cincinnati. We're on to this. We're on, and he tried to do that at the winter meetings in the spring. He's like, well, I think the last 25 years have been pretty good. That was the most un-Bill Belichick answer ever. He's looking back now instead of forward. So it's funny how it's really humbling. Interesting to see where he falls. It's going to be also really interesting.
If you're the Chargers and you bring him in, you can't risk it. Like if you don't take advantage of Justin Herbert, this has already been wasted time.
Yeah.
That's what I don't get. And the selling point on that for me is the fascinating part. All right. What's next?
Well, this one's coming in hot too. Patrick Mahomes was a little agitated again this weekend, but he had good reason because Kadarius Toney'd. He made another bonehead play. Do we want to keep talking about Bill Belichick's coaching future or move on to Kadarius Toney and his Butterfingers?
No, I like the idea. First of all, I take great honor in the ability to be able to throw Bill Belichick over the top rope. So that felt nice. I used my legs.
See, here's what happens with receivers. It's really weird. When they hold their hands up like this is where you're supposed to put the ball.
Yeah.
Except if you're Kadarius Toney.
Right,
because in week 1, Patrick Mahomes put a ball right there and it turned into a pick six that actually won the game for the Detroit Lions. They won by 1 point, 21-20. And on Sunday, they're cruising. They're up 27-10, 9 minutes to play in the fourth quarter. Let's just get the hell out of here, man. Let's beat this team, feel good about ourselves. And Kadarius Toney said, hold my beer. Patrick hit me right here again. I'm going to do this again. And it's going to be an interception. They're going to score. And Mahomes went ape shit.
As he should. Can I ask just a simple, and I'm not even trying to be a dick here. Yeah. Why are we still throwing to him?
Well, see, that's the question. Have you seen the other receivers?
Yeah, I get it, but
they're all bad. I mean,
good Lord.
Mecole Hardman's out with an injury, so once he comes back, I think they'll be good. This kid, Sky Moore, who they drafted in the second or third round last year, outside of a catch in the Super Bowl on one of the most wide open plays in the history of the Super Bowl, has been nothing. Marquez Valdes-Scantling, who they would not have won the AFC Championship game with last year after all those receivers went down, has been terrible. He had one catch for 17 yards. Basically, it's Rashee Rice, this rookie wide receiver, Travis Kelce, and anybody else. This is about trust at this point. And I've seen tape where Patrick Mahomes is like, okay, Valdes-Scantling is open, Tony's open, but I think Travis might be open. I'm going to throw it there. It's like they could be so wide open. He's like, I don't think so.
Do you blame him?
The only guys he trusts are Rashee Rice, Travis Kelce, and all the running backs. The problem with Toney is he drives you nuts because he has all the talent. You saw it in the Super Bowl, the punt return that set him up for that go-ahead score, and then he caught the other touchdown in that game. But then it's such a mental block right now.
I was going to ask you.
Yeah,
you're the
like
golf
Chuck
guy.
Knobloch or Steve Sachs trying to throw the ball to first base. Or the Mets catcher, his name was Mackie Sasser, who had to pump it 3 times before he threw it back. People were stealing bases on him left and right. This is so in his head right now. And, Travis gave him a big hug afterwards. It's like, how do you do this? I have no idea because it's all here right now. And we don't know really what's up there for Kadarius Toney.
Are these the yips? Is this football yips?
Yes, exactly right. Yips. This is like standing over a 3-foot putt with your hands like this.
That's what it feels like. Did you say Mackie Sasser? I just want to make sure we get that.
I did pull a Mackie Sasser reference. 1989 Mets. Look it up, kids.
Drinking game.
Use the Lugal.
Okay. Our next challenger, entry the ring. Former flight attendant took to TikTok. Oh, anytime I start a story with a former flight attendant in TikTok, I know something's coming.
Yeah.
Revealed the type of passenger cabin crew hate the most. It's not crying babies, believe it or not. It's the people who complain about the crying babies. Do we continue to talk about Patrick Mahomes, who is justifiably pissed lately, or switch to hated airline passengers, of which there are many?
No, we're going to the airline passengers.
Yes,
Kadarius Toney, get out, whatever. Because I have the greatest story about this of all time.
Oh, I can't wait.
This had to be late to mid 90s, and I was flying to New York to do something for the Baseball Hall of Fame. Guys were having a press conference in New York, and I got on a plane. I'm sitting next to this guy. Typical New York,
Oh, God, no.
Yeah. We're going to get Tommy DeVito in here somehow, some way. And he has this shiny metal suitcase, and it's in the overhead bin in front of him. And he's telling the stewardess, please be, or the flight attendant, please be very careful. Do not scratch my suitcase. Do not scratch my, like he's freaking out about potentially getting his suitcase scratched. Meanwhile, a few rows back, there's a dad with a baby that is wailing, just wailing away. And at that point, I think our kids were both under 5 or 6 to 3 in that range. So anybody that has had kids and has taken them on a plane knows the unmitigated hell that you live through when your kids are not behaving on a plane, because there's nothing you can do. And this dad's trying to be so nice to the kid and all this kind of stuff. And this guy is getting furious. He's like, that fucking baby doesn't shut up. This went on for like 20 minutes.
Oh, God.
Okay. And I'm first of all, I feel so bad for the dad, because I'm like, do you think he wants this? You think, hey, I got a great idea. Let's piss everybody off on this plane. So I'm just going to make you the most uncomfortable baby of all time. So this went on for like 20 minutes. Finally, and you know me, Michelle, I'm not a violent person.
Nope.
I'm not that at all. I turned to but my dad gene kicked in. I turned to this guy and said, if you don't shut the hell up about that baby, I'm going to take that fucking shiny suitcase of yours and shove it up your ass. And I said, I can't sit next to you anymore. You're such a dick.
Yeah,
and I actually changed seats on the plane.
Good.
Not to be next to that guy.
Oh, that guy
was
sucks.
the worst. He was the worst.
By the way, I don't even have children, and my heart always, I'm just like my mom flew with us when we were all little. It's like, I don't mind as long as they're trying. The one I don't like is when the kids get to run up and down and like no one's.
Absolutely. Well, but all parents blank out like that. At one point, I was flying with my daughter, and she was quiet, but she was taking the tray on the back of the seat and flipping it up, down, up, down. I'm like, she's quiet. It doesn't matter. The person in front of me tries, can you please get her to stop doing that? I'm like, yeah, that's on me. Sorry, I was enjoying 10 minutes of solace. I didn't even think about it. That's on me.
You know what? One person's pain is worth an entire plane of peace. That's all I'm gonna say.
I'll never forget that dude as long as I live.
I hate that guy, and I
hate that guy.
God,
I hate that guy. All right. Up next, analysts are piling on the Cowboys after they're getting blown out in Buffalo. Gronk called the Cowboys not a mentally tough football team, while Terry Bradshaw said they look stupid. And if anybody knows stupid, it's Terry. So do we want to continue talking about my least favorite airline person ever, or we want to switch to the Dallas Cowboys?
This is a tough one, because I love making fun of bad people, but I also love making fun of the Cowboys. And I'm really torn here. No, you know what? We can always do the airline. Let's do the Cowboys, because I have you here, and you're the football guru, and you more than anyone know that every single year we do this roller coaster, this emotional roller coaster with Cowboys. I'm not a Cowboys fan. I actually mocked the entire thing. I thought they were going to win the Super Bowl. Now we're back to they suck. Please, for the love of God, what is it?
Well, the Cowboys are about like picking out a good home. It's all about location, location, location. They are unbeatable in Dallas. They've won 15 straight home games. Second longest record in franchise history to 18 straight home games in the late 70s, early 80s. The longest active streak in the NFL. They average about 40 plus points when they're at home. Dak Prescott's passer rating, even though it's a weird stat, is 33 points lower on the road than it is at home. 33 points. Here's the problem for the Cowboys. The only way they get a home playoff game is if they win the division. And now they've got to go to hope that the Eagles lose at least one more, and they've got to win. They've got to beat Miami in Miami, and then they've got to play the Lions in Dallas, which I think they'll get because it's a home game, and then they finish up with the Commanders, and the Commanders are trash at this point. Yeah. But the Dallas Cowboys, they didn't lose. They were humiliated. Like, there is nothing worse as a football player when the other team says, hey, just so you know, we're going to cram it right up your ass. Like, we're not even going to pretend to throw the ball. Josh Allen had 7 completions, and they won 31-3. They didn't even try. They're like, hey, we're just going to run it right at you. There's nothing more demoralizing as a football player than realizing you know what they're going to do, and you can't do a damn thing about it. I mean, they just got punked in every way, shape, and form Sunday in Buffalo.
That's the version. I think he had 94 yards. The last time he had under 100 was his rookie year. So
one player for the Bills had more yards than the entire Cowboys team.
That's amazing. Okay.
It was ridiculous.
All right. So that's the thing. That's why I feel bad for Cowboys fans, but not really. Our final story of the day. All right.
They're kind of annoying. Go ahead.
I'm crossing my arms. Let me just get prepared. Aaron Rodgers is likely to be medically cleared to play next week after he allegedly made a miraculous one-handed interception in practice. Can you imagine? Then the Jets went and got trounced by the Dolphins 30-0. So do we want to continue talking about the Bills and the Cowboys and who are these Cowboys, or switch to what will most definitely be the return, a Christmas Eve miracle, of Aaron Rodgers?
Well, as much as I have way more information that I could impart with you, far too much that anyone actually cares about the Dallas Cowboys, I feel compelled. So Get rid of Dallas. They're over the top. I feel compelled to talk about Aaron Rodgers. Now, you're all in on this, right? Just so I understand
100.
your situation.
From the narcissistic, sort of self-absorbed chapters of life, this is going to be epic, Trey. Epic. Okay. Miraculous.
Here are my thoughts on Aaron Rodgers potentially coming back and playing. The New York Jets are historically one of the dumbest franchises in football. They are. They've had the longest playoff drought. It's been 13 years. They've been to one Super Bowl, Super Bowl III. We're playing for the right to go to 58, which means it's been 55 seasons. Only teams like the Lions and the Browns and the Jags who've never made it are more inept in the Super Bowl era than the New York Jets. Oh. So they've been eliminated from the playoffs. If he returns, it would be the fastest anyone in the history of football has returned to play with a torn Achilles. In fact, the fastest guy to do it was a running back named Cam Akers, who came back miraculously fast. And guess what happened? He tore it again. So if the Jets even consider the idea of putting Aaron Rodgers on the field for one snap in any of these games, it's the dumbest thing they could ever do. He's 40 years old, coming off an Achilles faster than anybody else. And you are potentially, if you put him on the field, putting next season in jeopardy when he's going to play because you owe him $1 bajillion, okay? Yeah. He's not going to walk away from that money. If anybody in the Jets organization says, hey, Aaron, you should go for it, they should be fired immediately. It is I don't think it's dumbest possible thing. Well, they can decide who plays. Like, I know Aaron runs the show. He's the shadow puppet master. But if he plays, then what is he doing it for? Just to say, see, told you? That's also stupid. It's so stupid. It's so dumb.
You just asked and answered your own question all within 90 seconds. Brilliant. Yeah, he's going to look in the mirror and be like, hey, buddy, what do you think? Want to give it a go? Hey, yeah, buddy, I feel good. Let's do it. Boom, done. He's going to do it for the very simple, he will be a note in the history books forever.
Well, congratulations, and your 2024 season may be in jeopardy.
Yeah! Woohoo! 90 seconds are up, which means, I can't believe we did it. Aaron, you're good. Yeah. You're good, Mr. Rodgers.
He did.
New undisputed most important thing on planet Earth, not just according to himself, but according to us, is Aaron freaking Rodgers. Oh! Nailed it.
I immediately regret this decision. Immediately.
He got us again. We got duped. We always get duped. Can we go back to the chairs?
Just when I think I'm out, they suck me back in.
God, we suck. Before we head out, by the way, the new podcast. I know Wondery Sports. We're family again. What's the deal?
Yeah, starting in February.
Great month.
New podcast with me and another former ESPN alum, Kevin Frazier.
Perfect.
Who's now doing great things for Entertainment Tonight, and I was told that he won an Emmy, so good for you. We're going to basically take the movie that Gwyneth Paltrow made in the 90s called Sliding Doors and turn it into a podcast called Alternate Routes. The whole premise of the show is what happens if one thing changes and the tentacles that everything goes into. Give you an example. What happens, Drew Brees, obviously, after he left the Chargers, was going to go to Miami and be their quarterback, but he failed the physical. Instead, he goes to New Orleans and becomes the greatest thing in the world because he won a Super Bowl trophy for the most ridiculous franchise of all time at that time, the New Orleans Saints. What happens if he doesn't fail that physical in Miami? Does he become in Miami what he was in New Orleans? And what about Nick Saban, who soon after that left Miami to go back to be a college coach at Alabama? Does he stay in the NFL? Does Nick Saban become the next great thing, the next Bill Belichick type coach in the NFL? Does Alabama never exist again as a juggernaut in college football because Saban went back? All because one thing changed. So we're going to take a sports story and say one thing that happened. If it had gone the other way, how might history look completely different? And that's what it's going to be with Kevin and I launching the week after the Super Bowl, alternate routes or routes, depending on whether you're in the United States or Canada, how you want to say it. And that'll be starting in February. So we're really pumped about that.
Yeah, we'll know where you're from just based on that. By the way, I love this idea. This is going to be awesome.
It's fun.
All right, well done.
Yeah.
That's it for us. Thank you so much for filling in. Definitely, totally, completely appreciate it. Always love working with you. And next week, we'll be back to determine the only thing you need to care about and what goes over the top.
Mwah.